I guess one thing people want to know is what happens to dollar from here until the end of the year.
Most certainly. And the question, the dollar's been sort of, edging towards support here recently. It's in many cases been the flip side of risk sentiment if you look how the dollar's performed versus many emerging market currencies. And then within the G10 currencies against the likes of the Aussie, Australian dollar, and the Canadian dollar, we're seeing it edge down to support as well. And that's coincided with this broad-based recovery and risk sentiment in equities. And I suspect it'll continue to serve as that flip side against those currencies. And so if you're going to tell me risk sentiment is going to roll over, I think part of that will be that the dollar is firming up. And there's this longer-term question here: how much of the world can the Fed put on its balance sheet, and at what point is liquidity pumping only, and not addressing the key issue here, which is the risk of solvency more than just liquidity. So I still think there's some risk that the dollar goes higher and has one more major surge before we see the Fed and the global economy getting over this and rolling back into some sort of recovery mode.
Yeah, John, do you worry about inflationary risks?
I think that is the longer-term risk once we get towards a policy response that starts to look more like MMT, outright money printing to stimulate the economy. I think the first impulse in this is deflationary. It's in a credit crunch, it's always deflationary, and the risk of a deflation in the asset markets as well. But I do see an eventual inflationary shift. I struggle to see that shift here in the very near term, although the market seems to want to price it in aggressively in some cases and not so much in others if we look at bond markets, for example.